It's time for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Sully's College Football Page is brought to you by the Hilltop Bar, Advantage Insurance, Tommy's Express Car Wash, Dwayne's Cover It All, Buck's Golf Shop, Jim Creeshock Jewelry, Big Fat Design, Sun Printing, Hot Nose, the Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, Menzner Hardwoods, Krasowski Dental, the Cloverbelt Credit Union, France Propane, Subway, Webco of Wausau, the Kuhn Hearing Center, Carmelo's and Rip Mountain Golf Course, Joe Rader Towing, the Dirks Group, the Intermission Lounge, the Brokaw Credit Union, Champion Insurance, Trap River Golf Club, Central Wisconsin School of Ballet, Red Clover Market, Mountain Bay Auto Care, Charlie's Bar, the People's State Bank, the Mint Cafe, North End Pub, and the Travel Leaders. It's time now for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. Good morning. It is January the 17th of 2026. The final edition of the 2025 football season.
Yep.
As Sully's College Football Page comes to a conclusion this morning. How many years has it been?
You know, I was just thinking that. I think we started in 2012. So counting that year into 2025, you know, the beginning of that season, that's 14, right? 13?
Yeah, about
13,
14 years.
14, yeah, 14 would be right, yeah.
I mean, it just keeps going and going and going. But boy, it's been just an incredible whirlwind of how things have changed in those years. I mean, when you think about it, you think about what college football was like when you first started this program up to today. You got the football playoff that is now up to 12 teams. They're talking about maybe 16. The Big Ten is trying to twist the arms to get to 24 eventually. We got the idea of paying players. We got the incredible transfer portal. I mean, it is completely different, but yet the basis of the game remains the same.
Yeah, you know, I think college football has a certain mystique to it that, you know, even though it has changed, and with the money, you know, the amateur nature of it has kind of gone away, you know, and the amount of monies that are available, you know, for what coaches are paid now. And, you know, players, there's a thing in the Porter now about that kid from Duke who has been contacted by Miami, who, you know, when you're in the playoffs, you get an extra 5 days in the transfer portal. So both Indiana and Miami. And then last night at the 11th hour, Darian, I think it's Manshu, M-A-N-S-H-S-H-U, Manshu. But anyway, he declared, or he entered the portal, I should say. And he then said there was an $8 million deal on the table. Well, you know, people are screaming, you know, the Badgers have already sued Miami for this kind of thing. And, you know, people are yelling tampering to the moon. And, of course, Jimmy Phillips is the commissioner of the ACC. These are two ACC teams, and litigation is coming, Chad. So, you know, some of the things have been, you know, maybe overdue in coming. The recognition of the players who take the risks.
The process is continuing, basically. We're not to the end of this process. There's going to be some more rules. There's going to be probably collective bargaining. But at the end, this process isn't by no means to that finish line yet. But.
No, you're right, and that's better said. Yeah, it's ongoing. That's for sure.
Well,
today we have a lot to talk about. I know that coming up in the second hour, we'll have another special guest joining us.
Yeah, Joe Nino. Joe's done the show a couple times, Chad, when you were, doing one of your
Otherwise occupied
9 million other jobs that you have. Joe will be in at 10, and I tried to reach out to see if we could get Mick in, Paul Micklig, but Mick,
he's
his
busy too. Yeah,
his coaching hat, he's dealing with the round ball now instead of the ball with points, so he's coaching a basketball game.
Absolutely. So let's jump in, and one team that we haven't talked about as much in the last 2 months almost is the University of Wisconsin, because their season ended back around Thanksgiving when they did not make the bowl game for a second straight year. So now it's about Luke Fickell trying to turn things around and trying to restock the cupboards for Bucky. And of course, one of the big things that you have to do in this era is use that transfer portal. Let's start. We're talking a lot about the portal because how many kids? Like more than 3,000 you were saying last week?
Yeah.
So a lot of movement will be occurring in college football. As we sit here on the 17th of January, how is it looking for the Wisconsin Badgers? Is there reason for optimism for fans of Bucky?
There's one guy that I was thinking of you when I was looking at players that are in it. And if you look on the second, 24/7 is what I would recommend if you want to get good insight to the portal. If you go to their site, they do a really good job of identifying things. But there's a kid from Hope College in Holland, Michigan. It's a D3 school who the Badgers signed in the portal. He's an edge rusher. His name is Liam Danitz. And so I don't know about you, Chad, but I'm going to watch this kid. He's about 6'5" and about 227 or so. So the Badgers are going to have to put a little weight on him if he's going to be an effective edge rusher. You want him closer to that 250 mark. But he's a guy that jumped out at me when I was looking. The Badgers brought in 29, 22 left. And, when you look at where they came from, the kids that have come to Wisconsin, 3 of them were from the Big Ten. 3 of them were from the ACC. And this was a little bit of a surprise. 9 of them came from the Big 12. You had with Matty Campbell leaving Iowa State, there were a lot of kids from Iowa State, 40 or so, in the portal. And then 5 of them came from the SEC. Now, where they went to, you had the kids that left. 3 went to the Big Ten. 3 went to the ACC, 3 went to the Big 12, and 1 went to the SEC. Now, I would say from just on the surface, that, the give and take, the Badgers probably came out a little ahead because of the number of kids that, was like 20 to 10. 10 left, which probably speaks to the relative talent at Wisconsin. Now, fewer were going to the Power 4, but we brought in 20. So at the very least, these guys are practicing against day-to-day against better players. So, on the surface, Chad, I would say the Badgers have probably improved themselves through the portal. No 4 stars. They didn't get the high end coming out of high school. But that's misleading because players develop, and so they've got a ton of 3 stars. And I would say, based on that, they're probably a little better off.
And the thing about it is, I would think Wisconsin would be generally a pretty attractive place to go for folks in the portal, because number one, it still does have in recent history a very good tradition when it comes to football. They have been a very successful program. Number 2, there are openings.
Yeah.
If you're a player that wants to take that transition from maybe being second teamer on a very good program, has great talent, but maybe there's just not a road to a starting position. Wisconsin has openings. So there's another attractive aspect to it. And in sort of an odd way, the fact that they were never in a bowl game, they were able to focus earlier and maybe try to dig into that incredibly long list of potentials at that point that could be going in, and to be ready at the start of the portal to be able to make a bigger impact than some of the teams that were still actually playing football.
And, to your point, how else would they have found Liam Dennis? They had some time to focus on it. And so hopefully this is the last year that they'll have time to do this, because at the very least, we want them in a bowl next year.
Absolutely. So, and again, the thing about it, and as we continue talking about all these teams and all these conferences, there, with that amount of numbers of players in the portal, there's going to be hits and there's going to be misses. And it's the same, it's similar to high school recruiting. I mean, we've seen it in the past. I think with Wisconsin, again, I think we talked about this in the last handful of years. I mean, going back even to the end of the Christ era, Wisconsin had some of their highest ranked recruiting classes, and they ended up with some of their worst records. So, So it's not A, B to C, but something that I'm sure you've talked about as well over the years is the fact that you still need to bring in the talent, and you have a better chance of being successful if you do have where the so-called experts, and again, these people study this, say that you're doing a good job. So again, it's not a guarantee, but it does, I think, allow fans to feel like in addition to having just generally a better schedule, they've had such a tough schedule the last couple of years, that maybe there's an opportunity for the Badgers to take a step forward in 2026 and actually get back into the mix, maybe knocking on the door of the top tier of the Big Ten Conference and get back into bowl consideration as well.
Yeah, and I want to say it's Joe Brennan. He was a outstanding offensive lineman. He has left, so that's a loss. He went to Indiana. So clearly the way Indiana has been operating of late, that was something that they identified in him right away. Also, Preston Zachman was a safety. He has gone to Indiana. Jake Renthrow, our boy Bielema got him. So, he's looking at a Wisconsin offensive lineman and gobbled him up. And then I think it's Christian Allegro. He was a linebacker. He went to Ohio State. So the reality here, Chad, some of these kids have gone to really top shelf programs. And so, you're not sure if we brought in guys that are playing at that high of a level, but we'll see. We got more of them. And so the depth at the very least will be better.
All right. So that's Wisconsin at this point in the transfer portal. What about the rest of the Big Ten Conference? Well, we're going to kind of delve into that coming up next as we continue here on the final edition of Sully's College Football Page for the season here on 98.9 WXCO.
Choose an agency with true 5G coverage. Advantage Insurance of Wausau. Great companies, great agents, great service, great rates, and great claims results. At Advantage Insurance, they support our local community and back you always. Call Advantage Insurance today for all of your insurance needs, or go to AdvantageInsuranceWausau.com. They offer top-rated coverage and the best agents that provide you a true 5G experience for the best total coverage for all your insurance needs.
Chief, we've got a situation.
What is it?
Trouble at the naval base, sir. I'll put it on the screen.
Jiminy Christmas, what happened to all our boat covers?
That's not the worst of it, sir.
No!
Afraid so, sir.
Not the boat upholstery, too. All those holes? It looks like Swiss cheese.
It's funny you mention that, sir. We found the culprit.
All right, Mouse, who are you working for? The Russians? Take him to the brig and get Agent Dwayne from CIA on the horn now.
Dwayne's covered off. Dwayne speaking.
Agent Dwayne, your country needs you. A terrorist mouse has chewed up every single boat cover and piece of upholstery in the Navy.
I'll patch up what I can and replace what I can't.
Agent Dwayne, you're a great American.
Just doing my job.
Boat covers, seat upholstery, camper, deck, or patio awnings. When you need something covered or upholstered, call the CIA. Dwayne's Cover It All. Commercial accounts are welcome. Call or email Dwayne. Visit Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
It takes a lot to impress us at Jim Krishock Jewelers. I mean, we see gorgeous diamonds, gemstones, and incredible jewelry every day that we've chosen for our selection. But when a diamond jewelry line like this one comes along, well, our eyes really widen up and our mouths drop open and our hearts beat a little faster. Yours will too when you stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection of diamonds and diamond jewelry. Their slogan is bigger, brighter, whiter. And it's a difference you can see, which is the most important. Each Fire and Ice diamond is cut to maximize the performance of light coming into and leaving the diamonds to create amazing sparkle and brilliance. So whether you're planning on getting engaged or upsizing your current diamond, or just want something completely new with more sparkle and dazzle than you've ever seen before, stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection. It's exclusively available right here at Jim Krishock Jewelers at our one and only location on Rib Mountain Drive in Wausau.
Joe Rader Towing in Wausau offers 24-hour-a-day towing, blackout service, and roadside assistance throughout central Wisconsin. You can count on Joe Rader's experienced team to get to you fast. Family owned and operated. When you need a tow, call Joe at 715-212-4762.
The Intermission Bar, located in the heart of downtown Wausau, is a warm, friendly, comfortable spot to enjoy time with old friends and meet new ones as well. Free live music 3 nights a week featuring some of the Midwest's finest talent. The Intermission, a social establishment.
It's Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app and on YouTube, youtube.com, and the 98.9 WXCO channel. In fact, during the off season, if you just want to stick with it, you can go back and watch all the shows all over again. Every Saturday, just get up, watch one of the old shows, and then before we know it, it'll be August, and we'll have new shows again.
Yeah, you know, so we've got that, and we also will be blogging a lot now. You know, so if you hit the site, and we'll go back to try to get that up on Facebook, and I'm going to look at X. I don't know much about it. I'll talk to my son. He does. So.
All right, so we have talked about Wisconsin in the transfer portal. Then there is the remainder of the Big Ten. And I keep forgetting, is there 16? Is there 18? Is there 83? No, there's 18 schools in the Big Ten Conference, which, again, is a show in itself. The Big Ten with the Big 18. But nevertheless, the Big Ten, you look and you were saying when we were off the air, actually, the usual suspects near the top.
Yeah, there were. You know, Ohio State led the way. In fact, they just leapfrogged. The portal closed last night at 11:59, and Ohio State just leapfrogged Penn State. They had 16 commits, and 5 of them were 4 stars, 3-9, where Penn State took 36, guys through the portal, and 5 again were 4-star, but they brought in 33 stars, with Maddie Campbell coming on board, number of kids from Iowa State. I'm sure some other Big 12 transfers came in. You can see all that on 24/7.
Let me ask you real fast before you continue, because you're talking about, you look at the ultimate ranking here. It says Ohio State 52.63 points, and you got Penn State at 52.61 points. Basically, almost exactly the same.
Yes.
And then you said it, Penn State has 36 commits, Ohio State 16 commits. They both had 5 4-stars and 0 5-stars. And then Penn State has 30 3-stars, Ohio State 9 3-stars. How does that equal basically the same points?
I'm not exactly
that may be above
sure.
your pay grade, right?
Yeah,
it sounds to me again like, I guess the percentage of 5-stars, because when you have 16 commits, I should say 4-stars, and then almost a third of them are 4-stars, I guess that's probably where the average for the Ohio State recruit is much higher than the average for the Penn State recruit. But Penn State will say, well, we got more of them and we'll be able to fill more holes. So I guess in the end, that's how it all, Penn State gets the numerical advantage, Ohio State gets the quality advantage, and they almost end up exactly the same.
Yeah, and then there's another element, and I don't know to the degree that they look at that, and that would be, plug and play. What needs did you have at Ohio State, and how well did you meet those needs in the portal? So
you literally could have about 83 different categories to ultimately find out. And I think, it is so, everything is so complex in this era.
Yeah.
That's why they got AI. You can put it all in that.
And that might be what they're using. So I really don't understand the total bit about that, Chad. I just look at
the bottom line, I would say real quickly to get back to this, actually what the results are going to be. It says that Matt Campbell's off to a good start at Penn State, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think, the kids that you recruit that are going to be high functioning recruits at Iowa State are not the same as what you need at Penn State, given the fan base expectation. Penn State wants to be elite. They want to be in the playoffs every year. They want to be functioning, a program that can win a national championship. In fact, some people this year had Penn State playing Clemson in the national championship game. And as fate would have it, they did meet in a bowl game, but not the one they were being projected for. Indiana did a very good job. They got 17 kids in the portal. They were ranked 3rd. Michigan got 15. They were ranked 4th in the Big Ten. And then SC came in 5th. Now, interestingly, UCLA brought in 39 recruits, and they were ranked as the 6th best transfer gaining team in the Big Ten. And Wisconsin was 10th with 29 commits. So, not just at the top of the second half, So not as good as what we would like. In fact, they were ranked higher earlier, but they only they did not get a 4-star where some of the other teams did, and then that affects how they're ranked.
Interesting at the bottom. I think not surprised Rutgers is at the bottom, but Iowa 17th. And I guess in a sense not surprised, because you talk about again a classic developmental program. Sure. I think Iowa's going to hang still a little bit more on the high school recruits than the transfer portal.
They are. And, you wonder, Kurt Ferentz has done a terrific job there. And yet one wonders how effective he would have been without Phil Parker. because Parker takes that D every year, and they have one of the best defenses in the country year after year after year. And they, you said it, the developmental portion or component of that athletic department is what makes the difference in that team.
Anybody else surprising in sense, maybe either up high or down low for you as you look ahead? And do you have any idea of the schools that were maybe in the bottom half of the Big Ten, which are in the best position to make a significant move in 2026 because of what they've been able to do in the portal?
Yeah, I think that Michigan State is going to be a different team next year. And that would be as much, if not more, related to the coaching change with Pat Fitzgerald going there. I think he's going to bring an energy, and I think he'll bring a toughness and focus to that program. And he's going to have access to better players. Michigan State is you're going to be able to get more kids in, and you're going to be able to get a higher level of athlete at that school. So I think Michigan State, I'm looking for them to be better. Washington only took 9 kids, but you also need to be aware of retention. How many guys did you retain? Notre Dame was the 9th best in the portal, and Chad, they only took 7 kids. So it depends on how well you have fit guys in, and what your needs were. Michigan State, for instance, had 25 commits, but they were 13th. So it's not always the number, and you were pointing that out, that when you look at it, there's discrepancy. Purdue, we'll see what they were right in front of Michigan State at 12th, and Northwestern was 11th. They were right behind the Badgers.
Well, frankly, Northwestern being that high, because they tend not, whether it's recruiting, whether it's portal, you don't expect them to be that high, because but that's actually, I think, rather significant that they're up that high.
It surprised me. And until just this year, and I don't know what Northwestern does per se, but Notre Dame would not take undergrads. You had to be a graduate to go to Notre Dame in the portal. This year, Notre Dame changed that policy. I really need to check to see what Northwestern does, because schools like Northwestern, Stanford, Duke, it's a little more difficult to deal with the academics there.
By the way, did I ask you, was it you that I asked? I think I asked somebody, do they even still have academic ineligibility? Because if you're paying guys millions of dollars, you're not going to sit them down because they're not going to class.
Yeah, I think so.
But we used to hear that would be a problem. I can't remember the last time I heard somebody was academically ineligible.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and the only guy this year, I'm sure others have discussed it, but the only guy that I heard say anything about GPA or graduation rate was Luke Fickell. He talked about that at one point, in one of the interviews that he had done. But no, Chad, I just don't hear about that, at all, typically.
We're going to take a timeout. We're going to step outside the Big Ten and look nationally who's been flashing the cash and bringing in the folks to their schools. And not surprisingly, if you're talking about flashing the cash, we'll be talking about Lane Kiffin, and we'll talk about that and the rest of the top performers in the transfer portal coming up next as we continue here on the final edition of the season of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
I only travel once or twice a year, but when I do, I go big. Exotic places, incredible hotels, new experiences. It has to be memorable. That's why I call Travel Leaders of Wausau. They get me, and they take care of all the details, so I don't have to worry about a thing.
Travel Leaders gets you, and we get you there. Travel better. Call Travel Leaders of Wausau at 715-355-4437.
And can't forget the sandals. And the right sunglasses.
Hello, my name is Steve Brickner. Here at Brickner Motors in Little Chicago, we'll help you order your brand new Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, or Jeep and get it equipped the way you want it. and the color you've always dreamed of. That means you won't overpay for something you don't want. Quality vehicles and competitive prices are what keep people coming back again and again. Make the drive out to Brickner Motors on Little Chicago's northeast side and let our family take care of your family.
You can count on us. Yes, you can.
The Kuhn Hearing Center is a family-owned and operated hearing care facility located at 1699 Schofield Avenue, Suite 106 in Schofield. Dr. Tim Kuhn has been practicing audiology in the greater Wausau-Weston area for 26 years. Dr. Kuhn works closely with several audiology agencies, including Signia Hearing Aids and Accessories, which provides access to the latest and most advanced technologies in the hearing industry. For more info, check them out online at kuhnhearing.com or call 715-298-5511.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Experience a culinary journey at Oliva's at Gulliver's Landing. Indulge in our unique supper club atmosphere and savor mouth-watering steaks, seafood, pasta, and sandwiches. Join us for an unforgettable dining experience. Oliva's at Gulliver's Landing, Gadwall Lane in Wausau.
It's Sully's College Football Page, 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app and on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel to join us that way as well. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes. We will be talking about the national championship game that is coming up on Monday night, Indiana and Miami, a little bit later on in the program. But here in the first hour, taking a look at the portal, because it has so much influence on who is going to be performing well next year, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, Chad, this is more the equivalent of the free agency in the league, and the recruiting, the high school recruiting, is the NFL draft. And so this is more to supplement and plug and play right now. The high school element is more about player development, because there are some guys as freshmen who can come in and play right now. But yet your plug and play guys are more the guys that we're talking about now. And so, to really understand the portal, you're going to have to go into more depth than what we have time for. You're going to have to look to see how well they met their needs. So the coaches are going to sit down and say, here's what we need. Here's what this position, the characteristics of a player, how well do they fit to what the characteristics of that position are. So you don't really know that for a while, but nonetheless, this part of what goes on is critical to how well teams are going to be able to play next year.
Where do you want to go to start? Do you want to talk nationally? You want to talk about specific conferences? What do you want to do?
Well, I think if we look at the top 25, I know on the site I have 70 teams up. Because that coincides with the number of teams that we would recognize as being part of the four or Power Four teams. There's 67, and then we count Oregon State and Washington State as well as Notre Dame. So we did 70. But if we look at the top 25, and you look right at the top of the board, there are 3 SEC teams. Your buddy Lane Kiffin is leading the way. He's got 35 commits.
By the way, real fast here. you gave me a link here to look at the national rankings here, and in the corner there's this video that's going on because they always embed videos on this thing.
Yeah.
And it's a Lane Kiffin story, and it has pictures of him with, I don't know, maybe the governor, I don't know who it is, but the governor or the athletic director, and they're holding this thing that says win. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but there's more than just win. It's about being a good leader. And this guy just disgusts me, to be honest with you. And now Sam Levitt, the Arizona State quarterback, is going to go play for him, and he's getting all. I mean, it's just sleazy, and that's my editorial comment. And then he's going to win. He's going to win. I mean, there's no doubt he's going to win because you don't spend as much money as LSU is, and they're not going to win. I mean,
yeah. And the thing about Kiffin is, I don't see all the rage about this guy. We've kind of went through his history, what happened at Oakland, what happened at SC, what he did at Tennessee, what he did when he was at Alabama.
He got fired by Alabama before the playoff national championship game.
Saban kicks him out the week of that because he's screwing around with Florida Atlantic, and then he deserts Ole Miss while they're in a run for the
I mean, he doesn't
get it.
And it just feels so sleazy. And that's I mean, you just feel dirty being around him. And yeah, I mean, in the end, he'll become a hero because I think he's going to win because I mean he's got all the advantages at LSU and you see it right now. I mean, you look at number one in the transfer portal. Who is it? It's LSU.
If you look at the last 4 coaches at LSU, 3 of them have won national championships. So that program wins,
Yeah.
And the reality is he's had some pretty good opportunities, whether it was at SC, Tennessee, now Ole Miss, and then he jumped ship there. Maybe he was afraid to finish that. I don't know. But the reality is he hasn't done anything. And so I don't get all of the...
And the thing about it as well, you just said it. Because, I mean, Brian Kelly found this out the hard way. If you don't win a national championship, you're a failure there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Eddie Orgeron and the guy who used to eat the grass.
Les Miles.
Yeah, Miles.
The guy who used to
and so...
And, of course, Saban himself.
Yes. So you've had a lot of success, and that's as much related to LSU and how they recruit and the way they... I mean,
they certainly have the resources.
Yeah. And I mean, they've had great defenses, great receivers. So anyway, the top 3 were LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas, followed by 2 Big Ten teams, Ohio State and Penn State. And then we mentioned that Oklahoma State had 51 recruits through the portal. And then 7 is Indiana. Kentucky made a nice comeback here, and they brought in 37 or 20.
27.
Yeah, I can't see anymore, even with these glasses. Notre Dame was interesting in that they only brought in 7. That was the lowest number of any of the top 25, and they managed to get themselves into a 9th position.
They were shopping in the expensive lane, though, because 6 of the 7 are 4 stars.
Yeah, they got that tackle from Oregon, my son and I, when we were watching them playing James Madison, he broke up the middle and blocked that the field goal. Ted, he's 6'7", 340 pounds. So the guy's a load. Anyway, so it does get back to who you're going to look at. And then Texas A&M rounds out the top 10 with the very well-to-do economically. Texas Tech is 11. But anyway, Chad, of the top 25, the SEC had 12 teams in the portal. The Big Ten, the ACC, and the Big 12 balanced the other 12 with 4 each, and then Notre Dame rounded out the 25 being an independent. So, again, a little different kind of look than the recruiting with Oklahoma State in there with that number. Another team that recruited a lot of players was Colorado. So Deion's at it again. He brought in like 36, same as Penn State. And then Arkansas was brought in the second most players at 37. So you can see all of this on 24/7. The other thing that I think is interesting here is what Darian Minshew. He passed for 4,000 yards. He threw 39 touchdowns. And then late last night, he declared in Miami it looks like that's where he's headed. There's talk that he has got an $8 million deal. He's leaving a $4 million deal that he had with Duke. And apparently, from what I've been able to read, because it's a short time here, he does not have the contractual right to break that. That the way it was written, he can't do that. Only Duke could release him. And so Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, is probably ready to jump off a nearby bridge because both these teams are ACC. And I don't know if Duke will be. They're certainly going to sue Miami. They may sue the player. And they're probably going to sue the ACC. So this kind of stuff can just get very, very messy.
Well, it comes down to, there's some simple facts. Again, I tend to not to take all the ideas that, hey, what we read is true. The bottom line is, if he signed with Duke, if he signed a contract, then I would think that then he's in trouble. I think it would be pretty simple. But again, Miami is like Lane Kiffin. I'm sorry. They try to buy their way into relevance again, and of course, money ultimately in this era tends to do that. It's disgusting.
So you would prefer if Miami hired Kiffin? You would think?
Let's get two birds together in one little area, but no, it's the whole idea of a young man like this at the very last minute doing it. There's no loyalty there. That's just wrong.
Well, Chad, being of great wealth, when I was in college, I had access to $4 million. I really don't get these guys in terms of what's enough. If you're a college kid and you're going to be making $4 million while you're getting a free education, you're eating
by the way,
free, and your room and board are all there for you.
So really fast. And I hate it when they try to use this. Well, after talking with my family, I believe it's the best thing for me. It's all just garbage.
Well,
it's all. Hey, I would have more respect to it. Hey, I got to offer double what they're paying me, so I'm gonna just take it. Let's be honest. Oh, it's about this is in my best interest, and it's like that I talked to God about this. Come on, let's stop this stuff.
Well, it's what's enough, because it's supposedly he's going to be getting $8 million. So here's a guy that we don't know what his reading level is. We don't know what his math scores are. He's at a college. He's at an academic institution. He's making significantly more money than the president or any of the professors there. And so the colleges have really, the nature of this whole thing has changed. And, you and I have been talking for years. In 43 states, the highest paid public official is the coach. Now, that's tail backwards. It just is,
It is. It truly is. So again, that's why you always have the right attitude. You always talk about focusing on what's going on the field.
Right.
Here we have to kind of talk about, because the season is down to one game, but boy, it'd be nice to get past all this and talk about what's on the field, because this gets frustrating, doesn't it?
It does, and it virtually lacks rationale. It just, how can you have an academic institution where you've got the highest paid employee as a freshman?
It's crazy. You're exactly right. And that's also another reason why we're going to see a lot of these players stay in college. They used to go to the pros. Nowadays, they can make as much playing college football, and they get the choice of exactly where they want to go. If they don't want to go to the the New York Giants, or they feel like the situation's bad, hey, we'll just go another year in college. It doesn't have to even be at their own current school. They can just go somewhere else and play. It's really just really crazy.
Yeah, and at the end of the time, if they're not, they're just in a regular bowl game, there has to be a financial incentive that the school has to offer to get them played in the bowl game because of a potential entry, or even guys that, maybe aren't going to get drafted. Maybe they'll get signed. Maybe they won't. Even them, they want financial compensation as opposed to going out there one more time with their teammates.
All right, so let's move forward. Another change over the years since this show got underway is conference realignment has become such a major factor on the landscape of college football. I mean, you go back to when this show started, still had the Pac-10 conference, I think it was back then. I think maybe even before the Pac-12.
It was Pac-8.
And maybe Big 10 had maybe 11 teams or 12 at the most.
Well, Penn State came in around 93, 92.
Was Nebraska in the Big 10 when you first started this show? Were they still?
No, they came in later.
So, I mean, there's only 11 teams in the Big 10 at the time. So things have changed big time with conference realignment, and there's going to be some changes when the fall arrives in 2026. And going to let folks know what the MAC looks like and the Pac-12 looks like and the Mountain West looks like, because there's going to be some significant changes on the college football landscape yet again. We'll talk about that coming up next as we continue here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Thinking about changing to organic or natural foods? Then you need to stop at Red Clover Market at the Total Rental location in Weston. Family-owned Red Clover Market, your healthy natural food store. Open Monday through Saturday. Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258.
For more than 60 years, Sun Printing has been Central Wisconsin's commercial printer of choice due to their commitment to quality, creative solutions, and dedicated service. Sun Printing's team offers you a wide spectrum of services. Whether you need offset, digital, large format, graphic design, or mailing, they print everything under the sun. No project is too big or too small. So give Sun Printing a call at 845-4911 or visit them online at sunprinting.com.
Since 1981, Lopnos has been Wausau's favorite sports bar. Grab a bit of Wausau's past while you're watching your favorite sports teams at their historic turn-of-the-century establishment. Lopnos is the perfect place to catch all the sports action on their 15 enormous flat-screen TVs, enjoy a night on the town with friends, or have a celebration in their private party room. A great place for birthdays, anniversaries, clubs, or meetings. Lopnos, Wausau's oldest and finest sports bar, 3rd Street, Wausau.
For over 40 years, Champion Insurance has been helping business owners protect themselves. They also offer protection for your home, auto, and other personal assets as well. Local family owned and operated. Champion Insurance. They got you covered. Schofield Avenue, Schofield.
Come on down to Cheeks Bar and Grill on East Wausau Avenue in Wausau. Open for dine-in or takeout Tuesday through Friday, 2 p.m. till close. Saturday, 12 p.m. till close. Sunday, 12 until 8 p.m. Check them out on Facebook, and we hope to see you at Cheeks Bar and Grill in Wausau.
Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app and on YouTube, youtube.com, and the 98.9 WXCO channel. Hello, it's Sully. I'm Chad Holmes, and again, lots of change always now in the landscape of college football, and some of these conferences are going to look significantly different when the kickoff occurs in August of 2026. I like the link you sent about the Pac-12. It says The new Pac-12 further cements its foundation with the Bobcats of Texas State,
Yes.
bringing the total membership to 9 committed and driven universities and athletics departments set to begin play in 2026-27. Cementing the foundation is, I think, a little bit over the top, but at least they have a conference.
They do, and the NCAA wants 8 members of your conference to be recognized. The thing is, there are 9 teams, but one of those teams is Gonzaga. Right. And Gonzaga, as you know, Chad, does not play football. So the new lineup looks like Boise, Colorado State, Fresno State, then Oregon and Washington State, who are the only 2 that remained, and then San Diego State, Nevada, and then Utah State would round out your 8 teams.
Do you think that eventually Stanford and Cal will come home? Or do you think they're going to stay with the ACC?
Yeah,
I imagine there must be some sort of long-term deal as well, because it would be hard for the ACC to have somebody come in and then bail. But it just seems as though to be part of a conference that is so far away, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Those schools academically are a good fit for the ACC.
Okay.
They because of their academic strength, they're members of the AAU. However, with the Pac-12 now coming back with the Pac-8, would they consider now for the Olympic sports and travel and just making sense for your student athlete rather than flying them across the country? They might. It would depend on how much money is generated with being a Power 4 conference.
Right.
So if there's more money and the payout's greater, Chad, it may come down to, shockingly, it may come down to money.
Yeah, I mean, I would say at this point, when you look at that league, and as you said, we got Texas State, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Gonzaga, basketball only, Oregon State, San Diego State, Utah State, Washington State. How strong of a football conference is that? Well,
Boise is certainly a program that a group of 5, it gets a lot of respect. When you look at Fresno, it goes back to Pat Hill, anybody, anytime, anywhere. You remember those days. Yeah. And then Colorado State, when I first started this, they were the best team in the Mountain West. And another team that was really, really good was Wyoming. Now, Wyoming's stayed in the Mountain West, so Miami did not come with them. So, the things that you and I have lamented about are the loss of these rivalries. That's a big rivalry. Now, maybe they'll do something and they'll continue to play. But right now, they are in different leagues for the first time in a long while.
I think it's actually a decent conference, to be honest with you. I think San Diego State has shown signs of trying to become more of a presence on the West Coast. I think when they hired their new coach, Colorado State, the stories talked about facilities wise, they're up there. They have the facilities. There was a feeling that they've been a little bit of a underachieving football program, and that they have the ability. The ceiling is a little bit higher. You said Boise State's been a program that's been part of major bowls in recent years. I think a big key will be to see whether or not Oregon State can reestablish themselves. They've sort of fallen off the cliff a little bit the last couple of years. And Washington State's biggest problem is the fact they have not been able to hold a coach the last couple of years, and that instability can cause some problems. And if Oregon State and Washington State fall, that's going to take, I think, the whole level of this conference a lot lower than it otherwise could be. But if they're pretty good, and you add Boise State and maybe San Diego State and Colorado State, there is a potential of having, I think, a rather competitive conference.
Yeah, and Gary Patterson, the old coach at TCU, when he used to play San Diego State, he would always say they were different than any other team in the Mountain West. He always said, athletically, you're playing a team that looks and acts more like a Pac-12 team. And so, to your point, you mentioned them, and then a team that I didn't talk about initially was Texas, North Texas. North Texas, in my opinion, Chad, was the best team in the American last year. Temple rose up and beat him in the championship game. But I think when you look at the body of work, North Texas was the best team in that league throughout the year. So that's another good team. the problem is they're not SC and UCLA and Oregon and Washington. So the league is definitely taking a step back, and you are not going to have the Power Four connection anymore. They will be now what will constitute a group of 6, and then you will have the Power Four. So good league, and I don't think they're better at this point than the American. So I don't think this is the best conference, but we'll have to see. The American I still like with Tulane and Memphis, and just some. Although North Texas will hurt that league because they're a very good club.
And now you have a new Mountain West as well. You got Air Force, Hawaii, Nevada, New Mexico, San Jose State, UNLV, UTEP, Wyoming, and Northern Illinois.
Yeah, Northern Illinois and UTEP are newcomers. UTEP left Conference USA, and then Northern Illinois, of course.
UTEP actually, and again, more of a basketball thing, but UTEP fits with that group because back in the day when the WAC was basically the Mountain West, West turned in because the WAC got too big and then they split up. But UTEP was part of that, and UTEP would play New Mexico and Wyoming, and they'd have great basketball matchups. That's been the football that has not been quite at the level for UTEP. But I mean, I look at this conference, and it's not a bad conference either. I just think that their constant worry is going to be that you see this new Pac-12 continuing to try to throw around a little bit of money to get a UNLV peeled away or something like that.
Yes, I thought they would get them. They did not.
But I mean, generally, I think it's a very. The thing about, and again, I don't know whether or not I think if they were an 18 team without NIU, it's a conference that fits because, again, geographically it fits. And I guess I'm a stickler for that. This idea of having a coast-to-coast conference I find to be just wrong in this era where they hear all these schools talking about the financial difficulties. When you're flying across the country on a Tuesday night for a volleyball game, that doesn't make a lot of financial sense to me.
No, and you mentioned UTEP in basketball. I believe that's the old Texas Western.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the
Don Haskins.
Yes, very good. And that was a game changer when
66.
they played Kentucky. Yeah. You had, for the first time, you had 5 black kids playing 5 white kids. And the game was a great game. It ended up like 72-65. It was really a highly competitive game. Pat Riley was playing for Kentucky at that time. And, so whenever I think of UTEP, I think
right.
of that game.
But I mean, those schools all kind of fit together. I mean, that's what it is. It looks right to me when I look at this league. It's just, again, NIU, it's a sort of an outlier. Do you think that's going to work for the conference and for NIU?
Yeah, I to be quite honest, I don't know what NIU thought was the advantage of that. They may be the farthest Western team in the MAC, because you've got those Ohio teams,
right?
The Michigan teams, which would all be East, and then Buffalo is East, and then now UMass is in that league. So I don't think there was a lot of angst from the MAC because now they're back to an eight team league again. They were at 9, and so. I guess they wanted to they thought the Mountain West was better, but losing as many teams as the Mountain West has, I don't know that the Mountain West is as good as it had been. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And I think they were just looking for a new challenge.
And the thing about NIU is they got a stadium that's like 28,000 people. That fits with the MAC. I mean, it doesn't really fit the same way. I mean, they're at a disadvantage. So I'm curious to see if that works out or not.
And you mentioned the stadium, Chad. Their attendance is very weak. They'll get like 5,000. I've seen as few as 4,000. I mean, back when Wayne was at DC Everest, they had more than that. So the conference or Northern Illinois, maybe they're thinking that's going to help their attendance by playing teams that people haven't seen in Illinois.
It's funny that when I went on, I took my vacation back in November, I went down to the Chicago area and I stopped at I think it was I forget what one of the fast food restaurants, and they had a big display about being NIU backers.
Okay,
so I just found it interesting that because there's a lot of competition both for pro and college sports in that area, where I can see how NIU would get lost in the mix a little bit.
And I got to tell you, I have a story about Northern Illinois. I took a graduate class there, and my teacher was Noel Armstrong. And I thought, oh, that's a lot like Neil. Turns out they were cousins. So he talked about and he said to us, before we get started, I just want you to know the moon landing was real. I thought, okay, write that down.
And before we wrap up this segment, there are a few other changes that people should know about for 2026. Anything else that jumps out to you in terms of how college football's landscape will be a little bit different this coming year?
Nothing comes to mind other than, the realignment.
It says La Tech is going to the Sun Belt.
Yeah, you're right. La Tech is moving. They're going to be in with the other Louisiana
Texas
schools.
State, who's off to the Pac-12.
Yeah. North Texas, or is it Texas State?
Texas State.
Oh, yeah, I misspoke. That North Texas had a great game a year ago with Texas State in a bowl game. In fact, I thought it was among, if not the best bowl game that I saw. But you're right, it's Texas State. North Texas was the team I was referencing. But anyway, and then UTEP will be leaving Conference USA, which we mentioned. So, and then La Tech, good for them. They're now going to be playing with the other two Louisiana schools.
Again, makes sense geographically.
Yes.
And one other note you put down here is Chicago State.
Yes.
What is that?
Sure. My brother Pat's team used to play them. They were in the old Chicago, Illinois, whatever that league was they were in. Really good league. Xavier was in it. But anyway, when they would play them, what would happen, Chet? These kids would go off to Louisville, to Memphis, to Illinois State, and they didn't make it. These are Chicago players that were they'd all come back to Chicago State. And they would regularly line up with Illinois State, Eastern Illinois, Western Illinois, not so much Northern, because that's a different kind of a different realm there. And they'd beat them because all these kids would come back. Now, I don't know what they're going to be like in football, but they are, I believe, going to the Pioneer League, but or maybe the Northeast. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because Pioneer doesn't give scholarships. Chicago State was an NAIA school. Then they went Division I, like 5-6 years ago. And they're playing football now. So that's going to be interesting.
And one final note, you have that North Dakota State is considering leaving the FCS.
That's what's being reported. I would be very surprised to shocked, because the Dakota schools, the Montana schools said, hey, what we're doing, we're playing at a high level. We're the leaders in this subdivision. And, do we go where we're just, kind of so run? But you can bet the Mountain West, was looking at seeing if they could attract it. Because as you know, they're quite capable of beating a group of 5 football programs pretty regularly.
North Dakota State would make more sense than, say, NIU. I think if they were available, they probably would have taken them over NIU.
Yeah, I just think that at this point, they're happy with what, and why wouldn't they be? People around the country were shocked when Illinois State beat them that 28-27 great game, because people were just kind of penciling in North Dakota State is winning the national championship.
We got to take a quick time out. Then we'll be joined by Joe Nino for the second hour of the show. Talk about SEC full schedule. That scheduling controversy seems to never go away, does it?
This is the first year that the SEC schedule has been out in front of the Big Tens. I have never seen that before.
So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the tournament. We'll talk about the national championship game coming up on Monday as well. That's all coming up as we have the second hour, the final hour of the season of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Buck Welsh has been working in the golf business since 1976, became a PGA member in 1984, and has been teaching for over 40 years. His philosophy has always been to work with the individual golfer, building on the way they do things and making them better with what they have to work with. Call Buck at 715-581-2646 or check out the website www.bucksgolfshop.com to get more info about lessons.
Eye Clinic of Wisconsin believes that clear vision and hearing are priceless. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin is equipped to handle all your eye and hearing care needs. When you need specialty and surgical eye care, why not work with the best? Let the team of professionals at Eye Clinic of Wisconsin see you. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin has 7 convenient locations that include Wausau, Antigo, Medford, Merrill, Rhinelander, Stevens Point, and Wisconsin Rapids. Visit their Facebook page or website at www.eyeclinicwi.com. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, one vision, yours.
As a proud member of the Wausau Marathon, Edgar, and Athens communities, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home has built a reputation for having a deep commitment to personal service. When you need compassionate concern and expert guidance day or night, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home is the one to call. You can trust them to take care of every detail at a time it matters most. Located in Wausau, Marathon, Edgar, and Athens, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, friends you've trusted and depended on since 1914. Krasowski Dental offers the most effective cosmetic and neuromuscular dentistry procedures and treatments. When you walk through the doors, you'll experience an incredibly comfortable and pleasant atmosphere where you'll be treated like family. Krasowski Dental offers 24-hour emergency service and care so you don't have to wait, and offers many of the newest dental technologies and perks to make your dental experience comfortable and less stressful. Schedule your appointment now with Krasowski Dental, North 17th Avenue, Wausau.
Don't you just love a good football game? Don't you just love a new car or a new truck or a new motorcycle? And don't you just love saving money? Then you'll love Clover Belt Credit Union, your go-to team for saving money with a great rate vehicle loan. Great rates are what make Clover Belt the leader in vehicle loans. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, ATVs. If it's got a motor and it rolls on wheels, Clover Belt Credit Union has the great rate financing you want. Give us a call and we'll get your great rate loan rolling. Clover Belt Credit Union, your team for great rates.
The Dirks Group started in 1999 as an alternative to traditional IT service providers. From the start, they focused on customized solutions for the needs of each client. Today, they serve over 400 customers from locations in Wausau and Eau Claire. Go to dirksgroup.com for more information.
Charity's Bar in Marathon City. Great food, great service, a great place to meet friends. Come on down and watch the game or just hang out. It's Charity's Bar on County Road and in Marathon City.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit newmancatholicschools.com to learn more.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.
It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Hello, it's Sully for the final hour here of the 2025 season. I am Chad Holmes, and Sully, you're bringing in one of your old standbys here to finish off the campaign with.
You know, Joe has done great work for us. Started getting him on. You know, when we were working with the Olivas, you know, Carmelo's and Joe's a member out there and does some work for him on occasion. And I thought, this guy's really good on the radio, man. So then, of course, find out that Joe ran a TV show, you know. So anyway, yeah, he's been a great addition. You know, when you're unavailable with doing one of your 13 other jobs, which is always amazing, the great attitude you bring. But nonetheless, yeah, we're always glad to get him on, and we're going to get Mick on too, and have the four of us here.
Right.
But Mick, he's got, like we mentioned earlier, he's coaching
Priorities.
round ball. Yeah, yes.
Well,
Hey,
Joe-
I just want to say, hey, Sully, you do an outstanding job. People don't realize the amount of effort that it takes to do what you do week in and week out. There is so much data that gets collected. I think people are at a loss. If you're in the sporting world, especially college football, and you don't pay attention to your page, they're missing out on some valuable information.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
He's almost blushing.
I'll tell you what I
over there.
really think when the show's up.
Yeah, well, you'll have more time.
Yeah.
Let's jump into the SEC, and you said it, so I mean, it's so weird. This another thing that changes. It's like this constant sort of give and take between the commissioners of the SEC and the Big Ten conference.
They're at it again.
This battle between these two conferences to see who's king of the hill.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Petiti, Tony Petiti, the guy,
Mr. TV.
Yeah, the Big Ten commissioner. Now what he's doing is he was kind of miffed at them when he wanted his 4-4. SEC gets 4, Big Ten gets 4, ACC, Big 12 get 2, which Chad loved. He was spinning around in his chair on that one. And then, 1 group of 5, and then 3 at large. And that's what he wanted. He wanted to get rid of the championship game. So he
have his own little mini playoff.
3 plays 6 and 4 plays 5, and both ACC or both the SEC and the Big Ten. But anyway, I don't know if you guys heard, but now what he wants to do, he'll go to 16. He'll go to 16.
Yes.
If the SEC will support going to 24 teams in 3 years, so it kind of mirrors the FCS with their 24 team. But, the people don't like that because right now the team that's coming off the bye, that gets a bye in the playoffs is 1-7. The only team that's won is Indiana. Everybody else has gotten beat. So they're all kind of thinking, let's get this going. Let's go 16 teams, no buys, and have at it. So I don't know what's going to happen now because Petiti kind of told him, yeah, it's 24. Or I don't know if we're going to agree to 16. So.
It's almost like they're diluting it down too much. If you go to 24, not that there's anything wrong with high school football in the state of Wisconsin, but back in the day, 40 years ago, you had a conference champ and that was it, and now you got a winning record, you're in the playoffs. And it seems like they're trying to go that way. The FCS is already dang near there. Obviously there's a lot more teams, but 24, now you're starting to talk about player health. You can't play that many games in a season and expect to have player health paramount in your mind.
You're going to have to say, are we going to reduce the regular season? Well, 24 teams, there's 136 teams playing in the FBS. Well, if you do the math, you guys are going to have 24 from 136 is what, 112?
Yeah.
108? Okay. That don't, they're losing a game. So they'll never agree to that.
Right.
And also, it's going to be, it'll be 6 teams from the SEC and 7 or 8 teams. It could be 6, 7. When you think 24, they want 4 out of a 12 team playoff. So then they'll want 8 out of
right.
You don't need a 7th place team in the tournament.
No.
You have your opportunity to prove yourself during the regular season. If you're among the best teams, you get in the playoff.
Right.
You don't need to be the 7th best team in a playoff.
It's kind of like the NBA draft. Everybody gets a ball based on how many balls you get into the thing. And the number 1 team, it would be the opposite. You put a team in that has a really substandard record comparatively, and now all of a sudden they could rise all the way to the top and make it as a Cinderella story.
Well, Yeah, and there's a kind of something like that already happens when you don't have enough teams to fill the bowls. That's the only time that I think, Chad, what you have been kind of addressing, that's the only time academics is ever discussed. Because
get those losing teams in the bowl game.
Yeah, it's based on your annual yearly progress or that whatever that indicator is. But anyway, one of the things that I would encourage people to do is to go to the site and look at the schedules, the conference schedule. And I want you to know I color code this, not because I like crayons. You can look at.
They taste good though.
Yeah, I chewed on them over the years. You can look at like Alabama and red is conference, but then I always look to see what do you have there. I see a yellow, that's a power 4. I see a green, I know they're playing a group of 5, and a blue is a FCS opponent. So at a glance, and I'm always thinking a good schedule is one of each. I want to see all 3 colors. Like with Indiana, for the 3rd year in a row, they are not playing a Power 4 program, which kind of aggravates me. I don't think it's good for the fans. I don't think it's good for the Big Ten. You want to go out and compete with these other conferences, because if you're close to getting in the playoffs and you can say, hey, the Big Ten was 10-2 against the ACC or something to that effect, and having Indiana play one of those teams is in the Big Ten's best interest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. And one thing that, again, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt in one way, is it does take a long time to put together these schedules. You'll see they'll say, we're going to play each other in 2031 and 2032. And back when Indiana, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, they weren't so good. They're probably thinking, well, we need to get these games in order to get to 6 wins to get into a bowl game.
Exactly.
Now
right.
their whole mentality has changed. But if it continues this way, and you don't hear any announcements that they're going to play, I mean, now that they're this good, maybe they should play Notre Dame instead of Purdue or something like that. And it's like, you could have that kind of non-conference game. So I would say in the next year or so, if you're not hearing announcements that coming up in the near future, they're going to be playing some significant non-conference opponents from Power Forward leagues, then all of a sudden, then you think, well, this is truly their plan of attack.
Yeah, and with the SEC, the one other thing I'd point out with their schedule is they are directed by Sankey that they must play a Power 4 opponent. So I like that. They're telling them, go get them. Texas and Oklahoma, interestingly, are the only 2 schools in the SEC that do not play an FCS opponent. They play a second group of 5 teams. So otherwise, that whole league of the 16 teams, they have 14 games against FCS and 16 games at least against Power 4 opponents. So interesting schedule there.
Who's slated to come into the Big Ten this year? Or is the Big Ten kind of, I mean, are they, what's the goal here? I mean, are they going to add more teams? Because then now you almost have to split the season into 2. You have a first half and a second half. Otherwise, what's the point of a conference if not everybody's playing each other?
Yeah, well, they're not.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Chad was in favor of going to 20. He was not.
I miss the old days where you're exactly right. Where it's 10 teams, you play 9 conference games, you play everybody once, who's the best team.
Yeah, exactly.
Real simple.
Right. And now it leaves it up. Well, if so-and-so would have played this team and so-and-so would have played this team, they wouldn't be where they are. It's created more ambiguity than it's created clarity.
Well, on our show, we talked about early on about A&M.
Right.
All right. Now they're in a 16-team league with the SEC. A&M, people would look at me when I'd say that around town like, are you crazy? But it was true. They didn't play Alabama. They didn't play Georgia. They didn't play Vandy. They didn't play Ole Miss. They didn't play OU. And they didn't play Texas to the last. They might as well have been playing in the ACC.
Right.
Because there just wasn't in the Big Ten.
And it showed up in the playoffs. I mean, their first game. I mean, that was a shocker based on their record. Texas A&M, you thought would go deep.
I thought they'd beat Miami.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be close, but I thought they'd beat them.
Right.
Exactly right.
So you end up with this many teams. Not only is your schedule different, it can be very different. As we looked at Wisconsin this year. I mean, they had a murderer's row schedule.
Right.
Yep, that had a lot to do. I mean, again, you still got to play and beat who's on your schedule, but at the same time, I think this year there's a better opportunity for Fickle because of the schedule to at least show some progress.
Right.
Because he did play so many top teams.
Well, the last 4 games of the season for the Badgers, they didn't show up all that bad. I mean, early in the season, it was.
Well, that middle
are they going to
portion where
win
they
3 or
were-
4
yeah.
games? And They ended up winning 4, but that's another story.
Absolutely. So again, go to the site. You can get this color-coded chart to your favorite team, see who they're playing and who they're not playing, and check out Sully's collegefootballpage.com. But we got to take a time out and come right back. And coming up, we're going to kind of take a look back at the playoffs, both with the FCS and the CFP, and then, of course, get down to it and see who these gentlemen feel is going to ultimately pull off that national championship game on Monday night as well. So we still have plenty to go here in the final edition of the season of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Where did the good old days go? From going to the old A&W drive-in to cruising the strip in town, all things change. Some things stay consistent. For almost 75 years, Redant Insurance in Rib Mountain has been providing quality service to its customers. One of the oldest agencies in the area. Your family and neighbors come here. Now it's your turn. Call 715-845-9204. Click redantinsurance.com or stop by 227501 Rib Mountain Drive. Redant Insurance Agency, our family helping yours.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston. You don't have to choose between personal, hometown service, and the latest banking technology. Brokaw Credit Union has it all. Whether you're looking to finance your first home, grow your savings, or get a new set of wheels, we're here to help. Check us out at brokawcu.com. It's hard to find great Italian food in Wausau unless you're familiar with Carmelo's Italian Restaurant. Established in 1986 by the Oliva family, 3 generations still strive to provide a family atmosphere and fine dining experience. Carmelo's is proud to serve authentic Italian made with fresh ingredients. Their recipes have been handed down from generation to generation. Reservations are recommended Tuesdays through Sundays, and they are closed on Mondays. Carmelo's Italian Restaurant, located at the base of Granite Peak on North Mountain Road, Wausau. Check them out at carmelositalian.com.
It's Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, on the Civic Media app and on YouTube, youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. With Sully and Joe Nino, I'm Chad Holmes, and
we got a little technical difficulty going on over here.
Oh, geez.
Flip it over.
Hand me those. Hand me those.
I got it.
Okay.
I had to go in instead of out.
How many weeks have you been doing this? The
headphones are screwing me up.
I mean, it's only every other week, so not as bad as it used to be.
But we are down to the final game of the college football season. There's been a lot of playoff games, both in the FCS and the college football playoff. And it was actually, so I guess to start off with the FCS, that's interesting because in the end, it wasn't the same old. I mean, it had been for many years. The
Dakota
schools this year they weren't there, and it sort of opened things up, and it led to some very entertaining football in the final rounds.
It did, and a guy that Joe knows well, Spence Nowinski, was the D coordinator at Illinois State back in 2016. It was a great game. Illinois State scored with about a minute to go or less, and then North Dakota drove down the field and won the game. Same thing this year, great game, but this time Illinois State kept them out, and then that was a shocker when they beat North Dakota State, and then of course went on to have a great game with Montana State.
That was an exciting game.
Yeah, and then Montana State did kind of the same thing. They went down and scored right at the end.
Kicker woes.
But the idea that you look at those results, you see South Dakota State, you see North Dakota, and North Dakota State all lose in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, it was South Dakota in the third round. So, again, sometimes I think it was good for the FCS to have a little bit of new blood in there, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. And then how about the fact it was the first time in 50 years or whatever it was that the Ivy League partaked or maybe the first time ever because the tournament's not that old. But nonetheless, Harvard got smoked. They played Villanova and got beat 52-7, which I have to tell you surprised me. Because, when we look at the recruiting and, we're going through, the FCS has 130 teams, the FBS 136. So when we're doing our thing, we got 266 teams that we're tracking. And Harvard is like 157 ranked in terms of their recruiting. So I thought they'd play a little better. But then how about Yale? Yale beat Youngstown State, a very good team out of the Missouri Valley. And then they gave Montana State, other than Illinois State, their best game in the tournament. So Yale did themselves proud this year, being the first time, the Ivy League was partaking.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. And then you have the college football playoff. And again, the 12-team college football playoff, second year for that, a little bit different because the seeding changed this time around. And it was a mix. I mean, we had some really, really competitive games. We had a few not so competitive games. Generally, as you look back in the run up to this national championship game between Indiana and Miami, what jumps out? Maybe, I guess you can go back and touch on the aspect of the first round bye is not turning out to be all that advantageous.
Well, 1-7. The only team that has won coming off a bye is when Indiana. And who did they beat? Did they beat Oregon? Was that who they beat?
In the first round, their first playoff game to Alabama.
That's right. 30. I mean, they smoked them, right? 38-6 or something. So I think people, and that's one of the reasons they want to go to 16 no buys. And then of course Petiti comes in, and now we're gonna.
Well, and the big thing is when you throw in a buy, I mean, a coach will tell you till he's blue in the face, you got to avoid the distractions. When you put a week in there, I mean, there's a lot of free time as a coach you've got to fill to keep your kids focused. And as well as I do, college players, I mean, it's hard to maintain that focus.
Yeah, and people say, well, they're playing on the 6th. No, they're not. What's happening on the 6th are the championship games. So that means in the Big Ten, 16 teams aren't playing on that. The last week they're playing is Thanksgiving. So it is then closer to a month, at least 3 weeks that you haven't played. So I think you're 100% on that, Joe.
Yeah.
And I think generally you look at it, it's almost exactly half and half. You have half of the games that were 10 points or less in terms of the difference, and then half the games are 10 points or more. Do you think that the current way of putting the seeding together, the current way of putting together this 12-team tournament is working? Is it getting the best teams? Is it giving the best value for the fans and the teams themselves? What's your take on this?
I know you don't want me to answer that as a Notre Dame fan. Complete failure.
We all have our faults, Sully.
Yeah, well, that's I think they did fine. I mean, you look at it and you say, okay, the SEC had 5 teams. I don't think that Alabama and Oklahoma were of the quality of a Texas A&M or of the other 2 teams from the SEC, Ole Miss and Georgia. And maybe you could have did another Big Ten team, but who would that be right off the top of my head? It wasn't probably Iowa, although Iowa did win 10 games, didn't they? Were they 10-2 this year?
They lost 4 games. No, they were 8-4.
Oh, that's right.
So
they lost all those close games. You're right.
Yeah.
So a BYU, are they somebody who are worthy that should have gotten in? And so.
No, I think in the end you're right, and I do think the one is Alabama. I think Oklahoma earned their way in. They had some good road wins during the season, winning at Alabama, winning at Tennessee. I think that they earned their spot, but Alabama, they just seem to get a pass.
I was just going to say that they get a legacy vote. I mean, because they've been so good for so long that it's just like, well, it's Alabama. Well, who cares?
Good.
Yeah,
How about the fact that they lost 3 games? that's the first time a 3-loss team has got in. It's also the first time in the history of the, starting with the BCS, where a team lost a conference championship game and did not drop at least a spot. Remember, they didn't go anywhere.
Right.
And, and then you got to wonder, although, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt here on Sully's college football page, because we always take the high road. You got to wonder about ESPN giving the SEC for their distribution rights $811 million, and then giving the ACC $700 million. And they're kind of telling, they wanted the 5-11 format for the 16 games, and so did ESPN. Well, that's what ESPN wanted. And so you're saying, okay, they got 5 teams. All right, is there a connection there between $811 million and then the SC or the ACC rather getting no one?
Right.
Remember, they were, with that goofy tiebreaker.
I think they have to come out with empirical elimination to start. You just have to say, if you have 3 losses, you are not in, period. I don't care if it's Alabama or anyone. You have to get to a point where it's not the legacy. You don't think so?
I think that who you play matters. I mean, why do we have the discussion in the last segment? If you're going to be upset that then everybody's going to want to play. I mean, why would Texas go to Ohio State then?
Right.
Because in the end, it probably costs them a berth.
Right. Strength of schedule. Yeah.
So I
that's
see
possible,
that,
but I don't think that's what happened. I think it was those 2 games that they struggled in.
But if they would have played a non-conference game, and even with the struggles,
10-2,
I mean, you look at Alabama.
that.
They struggled against South Carolina. They struggled against Auburn, but they won those games, and in the end, they got in. If Texas had 2 losses and they struggled against Mississippi State and they struggled against whoever else, Houston or whatever it was,
That's a good point.
and then
That's
they still would have got in. So again, then it would come down strictly to who can schedule the biggest cupcakes in the non-conference.
Exactly.
Well, and so you do, and the SEC has said that forever, which is why they did not want to go to 9 games, because they're saying their conference top to bottom is better than the Big Ten top.
Because they're playing automatically a Power 4 conference game if you had that conference game.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they've done. They went to 9 games.
And Chad brings up a valid point. I mean, when you get that deep, I think the 16-team playoff worked well. I don't think going to 24, I don't know how that's
so
going to
you
shift.
think the 16 next year is something that they should do?
Yeah. Well, there was 12 this year?
Yes.
Yeah. So if they go to 16, I think you're pushing it there. When you get down to it, if you go too much further, like the FCS does already with 24, you're starting to get it.
You're gonna have 4 lost teams in there. Then.
Yeah, if you go that deep.
But if you think about it, say we kept James Madison, and then the next 2 teams out were Notre Dame and BYU. Now BYU, I don't think could have won it, but I think Notre Dame could have advanced. And then you'd have to find only 1 more team, and you'd have the 16. So 16 maybe this year would have worked.
Right.
If you buy into the fact
16
that
can work.
Yes.
24 is just too much.
Yes. I mean, because you're introducing 6 more, at a minimum, 6 more weeks into the schedule.
You're adding we're adding another week of playoffs. I mean, you can theoretically play 8 games in the same.
Right. You're back to a bye.
Right. So but you get to 24, then you're adding another week, and it's
you are. And keep in mind,
you'll be playing in February.
Well, and think about this. This is just a testament. And this is just a comparison. Have you ever seen how they figure out the NFL schedule? There's a guy that when the season ends starts working on it. Oh my God, you should. I think they did a show on ESPN, and I'm certain that it's more convoluted in college football because you're dealing with 32 teams in the NFL. How many teams are you dealing with in 2 different separate conferences and trying to work out that schedule so it's weighted equally? So when we get to where we are now, that you're eliminating as much ambiguity or, well, what if this, then this, if this, then that. That is daunting.
And isn't it based on how they did the previous year too? Don't they?
Yeah.
They used to do that.
Yeah. And, traveling, whatever, you know.
But I don't know, Joe, it's any more complex than the ACC tiebreaker. You would have to be have a degree in thermonuclear technology backed up by a law degree from Yale.
To defend it.
Yeah, and to figure it
That's
out.
the whole thing about it, and I know that, there's a sense that automatically the ACC tiebreaker system was flawed because Duke won it. Well, I mean, there was reason behind it in terms of the teams that they played. I mean, there was. I mean, so again, just because it doesn't give the result that you want this time around does not necessarily mean that it was
you need
flawed.
to change it, right?
And
we didn't want this outcome, so we better change it now.
And how about the ACC? Virginia had one loss. But they also got beat by North Carolina State, who's in their league, except that was a non-conference game. So you had 5 teams or 6 teams with 2 losses, and then because North Carolina State, that was not a conference game. Now you had 4 or 5 teams, I think 5, that had 2 losses. So then when you figured that out, you went first to head-to-head. Well, that didn't work. Then you went strength of schedule. Then you went a strength of record. Then they finally took this, whatever it was, sports stats, something or other, and laid it over. Contrast that with the American Conference, which they've gotten rid of the other A. They are no longer the AAC, which was fun for those of us who have letter inversion when you're doing the ACC. You know, or then you could go, and I'm not going to say colonial, Chad. I'm going to say coastal athletics, which is the CAA, you know. So I had problems with all 3 of them. But the reality here is the American said, okay, head-to-head. So if you guys tied, and then, you know, or I was involved. So there's 3 of us, because otherwise you could do head-to-head. You couldn't do that. Then they went, for the second tiebreaker, they went straight to the highest ranked team. You know, how which would have got Miami in. Miami was the best team in that league. And because of what they did and how that worked out.
If Miami was the best team in the league, they would have won the conference championship.
Well, they didn't get a chance to play for it.
Well, that goes back to our original point. These conferences are bad.
Right. And when you start looking at it now as a tiebreaker, head-to-head is slid down because
you can't, because not everybody plays head-to-head. So
exactly.
So these conferences are all screwed up.
Right. So that's the convolution that introduces now.
They deserve this, is my point.
So Miami?
Everybody does.
Absolutely.
Because for putting together these
head-to-head,
conferences.
I mean, head-to-head used to be the
It still is.
Back in the day,
in
the Big Ten Conference, you played everybody one time, and then it's so simple.
Yes.
All right, guys, I'm gonna put a donut.
Go
on
Notre
this.
Dame.
No, Miami beat them. You know, the reality here is leave no doubt. Right?
There you
leave
go.
No doubt.
When you have all these teams tying for first, I mean, it's just it's bound to be crazy.
Win the game.
Crazy things happen when you have all these multiple teams involved in it.
And if you have 16 teams in your league, let's play 8, you know.
Well, why don't we just go back to the old conferences?
Let's just go year round.
Yeah.
We got to take a timeout. We're going to come back and talk about the national championship game. Get back onto the field. Can Indiana finish off what would be just an amazing turnaround? I mean, unbelievable 2 years, and now a chance to put themselves in the conversation of some of the best teams in college football history. They take on Miami. We'll talk about that coming up next as we continue here on Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO.
The Mint Cafe, serving old-fashioned American comfort food in a cozy atmosphere. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, your choice is the Mint Cafe. Call ahead for carryouts, deliveries to downtown Wausau, and catering is also available. Check them out at mintcafewausau.com.
Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258. Are you looking to furnish a new home, apartment, or cabin? Are you looking for quality clothing at a reasonable price? Well, if you are, be sure to stop at St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau. Make them your first stop, your one-stop shop for furniture, clothing, accessories, home products, and much more. And remember, St. Vincent de Paul in Wausau is more than just a thrift store. It's a local ministry meeting the needs of our community. Your purchases benefit those in need right here at home. So shop St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau, where your purchases benefit your neighbors.
Since 1997, Mountain Bay Auto Care has been serving Central Wisconsin with top quality and affordable car repair and service. With ASC certified mechanics. Stop by 5702 Stella Avenue in Schofield or call 715-355-8646.
The warmth of your home is about making memories with family and friends and enjoying life celebrations. At Menzner Hardwoods Marathon, they understand the importance of bringing warmth to a place you call home. For over a century, their fifth-generation family business has been creating beautiful woodwork for the home and office, just as they have for over 130 years. Menzner Hardwoods looks forward to providing you with elegant wood products to enhance the beauty of your home or office. Visit them at menznerhardwoods.com. Menzner Hardwoods, timeless beauty for your home or office.
The Eat Fresh Refresh doesn't stop at your local Wausau Subways. When the urge hits, make sure to stop by any of the 4 Wausau Subway locations at 1609 Merrill Avenue, 330 East Bridge Street, 1819 West Stewart Avenue, and 4300 Rib Mountain Drive in Walmart. Catering, remote ordering, curbside pickup, and Subway delivery all available. And make sure to use the Subway app when you need Subway. Subway with 4 Wausau locations.
Buck's Golf Shop for all of your golfing needs. Located at 903 Grand Avenue, Suite C8, Rothschild, Wisconsin, 54474 in the Bushka Insurance Building on the east side. Specializing in Badger, Bucks, Brewer, and Packer golf-related items. Green Tag sale is 30% off the retail price. Call 715-581-2646 or email wellsgolf@pcpros.net.
At People's State Bank, we think checking accounts are like SUVs. That's why we offer more features to fuel your lifestyle. The best part? You can open an account without leaving your driveway. Just visit bankpeoples.com today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And welcome back. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. It is the final, 20 minutes or so of the season for the program. It's been, 22 weeks?
Well, we've been doing this in all or part of 6 months. And, every year it just runs by. I'm looking out the window now. You see the snow. I can remember when people were walking with tank tops and, riding their bikes and stuff. So it's a good portion of the year. And I got to tell you, it's gotten better every year, the enjoyment of it and the people that we've been able to bring on and with our great sponsors and then the people that we have been able to, to contribute to, which really adds to what we're trying to do in promoting college football, assisting community.
Absolutely. And down to one game left in the season. It's Monday night, the national championship game, Miami, Indiana. One thing you notice, no SEC in there. ACC in the Big Ten.
Yeah, 3rd year in a row.
But looking at these two teams, Miami, I mean, there were times during the season where early on they were among the top 2 teams ranked in the country. They were expected to be one of the best teams in the country. Then they had a couple of hiccups during the course of the campaign. They were having some difficulties, but then they were able to now starting in the playoffs. I mean, it started with that game against Texas A&M. It feels like they're playing their best football, aren't they?
Yeah, well, and you look at during the year, They lost a game, I believe, to Louisville that was OT, and then they got beat the next week by Southern Methodist. Both pretty good teams, and people kind of just wrote them off. And that's why when that initial poll came out, Notre Dame was 8 spots ahead of them, playing a similar schedule and having lost to them, which I think people thought made no sense. But Mario Cristobal had this MO that he's going to lose games in November. It's his MO. He does that every year. Well, no, he didn't at this time. And so here they are. And Miami's a great story and really would be the story if it wasn't for Indiana, which I think right now, maybe the last couple of years, the best story in all of sport, let alone college football.
Well, yeah, the turnaround they have from what they've been historically to get to where they are now, and with the dominance they're doing. Mendoza, their quarterback, phenomenal. He's resilient. He has poise. He can do it with his feet. He can do it with his arm. I mean, they actually have the entire package going. It's going to be a great game, and I think it's going to come down similar to the Montana State and how that game turned out. It's going to be that close.
Well, the thing about it as well is that Miami has slowed down teams. Can they do it against Indiana? I mean, giving up 3 points against A&M, giving up 14 points against just a powerhouse in Ohio State. Ole Miss was able to get up 27. I think for Miami to win, they're going to have to lean on their defense. I mean, yeah, they do have offense, but I think it's going to be that defense for Miami against Indiana's offense that will be truly the key to this football game, won't it?
I agree. The thing I'm going to be looking at in this game in the first quarter is Ken Bain and that other D end who actually had more sacks this year per game. Can they hurry Mendoza? You remember how the Ohio State game started? Mendoza got knocked in the next week on the first play of the game. And you can bet those Miami kids are saying, look, we can win this game if we can hurry Mendoza, if we can get him
out of his rhythm.
Johnny Wooden used to say, be quick, but don't hurry. And so if you can hurry him, then Miami's got a chance. And you're right. That 10-3 game against A&M, that was shocking. And then holding Ohio State, they got, Jack Rader used to say that guy's faster than the sound of light. I never quite knew. I know the speed of light, but the sound, not. Maybe it depends on whether you're over land or sea or something. But nonetheless, if they hurry him, they got a shot.
And they got to get them off the field. Number 1 in third down conversions. Indiana is so good on third down. I mean, that third down will be, again, that stat could be the key stat of the entire football.
And I'll guarantee you that coach over at Miami saying the exact same thing. Their defense coordinator is saying, we have to get them off the field. We have to hurry them. But we also have to do our job on offense because we're not going to win with 0 points. And obviously Miami's going to score points. But at the same time, Indiana's defense hasn't been that bad either. No. So this is shaking up to be a really, really good football game on Monday night.
And to Chad's point, on third down conversions, Miami's first in the country. Not check. Indiana is first in the country. And, Alabama, I'll be right in a minute. Miami is, they're ranked 18th. So they're top 20 as well. Another thing that jumps out at you.
And that's minimal. I mean, when you go from 18th to first, it's 5 yards, maybe 6 yards. It's not substantial like, you would think.
Right.
And by the way, you made a good point that Indiana's defense, I mean, they're second in the country in scoring. I mean, people don't realize that. I don't think.
Yeah. And how about the ratio that Mendoza has? He's thrown 41 touchdowns to 6 picks. He completes about 73% of his passes. 60, we always say, is the floor.
That's
so he's
phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think when you look at this, Carson Beck has had a great year, but clearly the advantage is with Indiana.
Can they bring in the Duke quarterback since they're signing him up?
Yeah, right.
Get the kid
That's
from
a
Duke.
that's a good question.
Is he under contract now?
Hey, they're going to get sued anyway.
But
so
seriously,
they might well
play. You know?
I mean, if he already committed, I mean, could they put him on the field? There's got to be a rule. If there wasn't, there will be.
Chad's making that.
All right. By the way, we got to ask, what does your simulator say?
The simulator.
Because we got to say one more time. Got to bring up the simulator one more
Yes.
time here. This
Yeah,
time.
if you go on Sully's College Football page and use our game simulator, let me say quick what it does is you won't see those numbers anywhere else, because what it does is it takes Indiana's total offense, adds it to Miami's total defense, gets the total, divides by 2, and gets a mean. Then it flips it. Then it takes Miami's total offense, adds it to Indiana's total D, gets a total, divides by 2, and whichever number is higher, the simulator awards them a point, except obviously with turnovers. The lower number gets the point there. And when you use the simulator in this, it's not close. Indiana outperforms in the 8 categories that we use it for, which would be red zone scores, red zone just TDs, turnovers, third down conversions, passing yards, rushing yards, and total yards. And then I always remember I was running a basketball camp years ago, and I was telling the kids turnovers, and this is what on basketball, was the number one reason why people won or lost. And some little kid sitting there, he's about 3'4". He's got glasses on him that almost cover his face. And he says, Coach, I thought it was the score that was the ultimate determinator, or not terminator, determinant in who wins. So I looked at him and I thought, should I drop kick this guy out? I said to him, other than the score, the turnovers.
Yeah.
But yeah. So,
But here's the big thing with Indiana. How much adversity have they actually experienced this year?
well, Ohio State.
Yes,
that
but I
game.
mean,
Iowa.
Yeah,
Iowa's another one. Oregon game.
Going
was
to
tight.
Oregon. I mean, in
Yeah,
itself,
that's-
you know. So I mean, they've had the challenges. Every time they had the challenge, they've been able to
right
to find a way.
Yeah,
And I think you could
but
certainly.
have they been surprising people? You know, as everybody went, oh, Indiana. You know, it's just a fluke.
I don't think that
Miami's going to be.
I
that.
don't think Alabama went into that game overlooking Indiana. They
Okay.
got right out of the stadium. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you could make the argument, Joe, that the Big Ten this year was better than the ACC.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
even and then Chad alluded to you're playing down to Iowa. Well, you know what? Iowa played up to you,
Right.
and they did that pretty much all year. That team might have been the best team in the country that didn't get in the playoffs because of how close everybody that they played game scores were.
Right.
Let's take one final break because you got to get those sponsors. One more opportunity here. Then we'll come back, make the picks for the game, and then touch on anything else that Saul wants to finish up with here to wrap up the 20.
I'm sure it'll be Notre Dame.
So we'll take one final timeout, come back, and wrap it up here on Sully's College Football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Crab River Golf Course in Wausau is a unique 18-hole public course. The relaxed atmosphere and breathtaking Northwood scenery is sure to make your golfing day a satisfying experience. For membership information and tee times, call Crab River Golf Course at 715-675-3044.
France Propane at 1153 Foundry Street in Schofield is a local family-owned complete service company serving central Wisconsin for over 2 generations. France Propane is a value-driven company whose goal every day is to provide excellent service, maintain the highest safety, reliability in customer care, and competitive pricing. France Propane, service first, safety always. Check out France Propane at francepropane.com. For over 30 years, Webco has worked with corporations, schools, organizations on their apparel and promotional needs. Webco can handle small quantities to orders in the thousands with a fast turnaround. Webco of Wausau, 1405 West Thomas Street.
The Central Wisconsin School of Ballet is celebrating over 52 years of dance instruction. They offer classes in ballet, jazz, contemporary, modern, tap, and musical theater for ages 2 to 99. And did you know that ballet is used by college football teams as a conditioning and cross-training program? Stop in for a trial class, call for a brochure, or email your questions to the studio.
North End Pub. Cold beer, clever conversation. All stories cross-referenced for validity. If you're looking for a nice spot to hang with friends, North End Pub will do the trick. Stop in for thirst relief today. North End Pub, North 3rd Avenue, Wausau.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit newmancatholicschools.com to learn more.
Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO. Final segment of the season, but before we talk about just putting it all together and anything else you want to talk about, who's going to win?
I guess I'll go first. I would say.
What does the simulator say?
The simulator says it's not close. I would say this. In the first couple of series when Indiana is on offense, I am really going to watch their ability to rush Mendoza. If Mendoza has time, I don't think this game is going to be very close. I think that their receivers are so good, their running game is so good. And the other thing, Chad, that we haven't talked enough about is their offensive line. Joe, when you watch that last game they played, he had nothing. There was no pressure at all. He had all the time in the world. So unless Bain and company can hurry him, I think it's going to be a long night. So we're going to know early. And that offensive line for Indiana is awful good.
And I'll tell you something. I'll agree with a lot of that, but there's some immeasurables here. Miami's carrying a chip on their shoulder. I mean, they are.
Yeah,
and they always have had that program going back to Cons and Christians or whatever it was. They've had a chip on their shoulder, and it seems this team is emulating that to a large degree.
Oh, yeah, they are.
They lost those 2 games that they shouldn't have lost, and I've always said a loss is an attitude adjuster. It just is. And when you have 2 and you're that type of team in Miami, I'll guarantee you they win the national championship. People will always look, but those 2 losses in there, if we wouldn't have had to, nonetheless, it's irrelevant, but they have immeasurables. I don't know what's going on in Miami, but that defensive coordinator, that offensive coordinator, they don't know how to rally them. But I'll agree with you, Sully. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be much closer than anticipated. And I would say, it's going to be like a 35-28 type game.
Oh, really? So
yeah.
You like Miami?
Yes. No. Indiana.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be much closer than what we think.
And I agree with that, actually. I think it's going to be the most challenging game that Indiana's had in the playoff. I think that they've been pretty much had it their own way the first 2 weeks. I think this is a different kind of pressure as well. And it is being played in Miami's home stadium. I mean, they don't have to travel anywhere. They're there. So I think that it is a little bit of a home field advantage. So I think it's going to be a close football game. And frankly, I would not be shocked if Miami wins it, but it's just hard to go against. I think Cignetti's got this team at such a high level with the mentality that he's brought in. So I do like Indiana in a game that will be single digits.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the stats here. Miami is the 4th best defense in the country. Did I say Miami again? IU is the 4th best defense in the country. They are 11th best in total offense. On 3rd down conversions, they're 1st. On turnovers gained, they're 1st. they're second in, I think you mentioned this, Jed, in total offense, and they're second in total defense. I just think they are good everywhere, and they may be the best team that that we have seen in the national championship game. And again, it doesn't mean they're going to win it since the LSU team. These guys are really good.
Well, and you look at the scoring offense there. Miami's ranked 30th in the country. So, that could be an indicator. But like I said, 30, what separates 1 from 30 is not entirely that significant.
It's probably the two games they played against A&M
Right,
and Ohio State that kind of tipped them down. So for the most part, they're fine.
Right.
We got about 90 seconds to go. So I don't know. I would probably leave it to you here because it's your show. What do you want to say to wrap up the season?
Well, a couple of things. I think, first of all, the transfer portal is now going to be the NCAAs to control. They're going to try to get that under some kind of reg that doesn't allow guys to, you won and then you got to sit the second time. NIL, we've all talked about this. It has had an unexpected effect in that it's made teams more competitive because Georgia and Alabama and some of the other teams in the SEC can't stack talent now because it's getting bought away. Revenue sharing, is 20-some million that they've got to give back. The vast majority of those dollars go to football. It's spread across, but so that has also created, a concern. And with the NIL and the transfer portal, the other thing that becomes as important is retention. Can I keep you two on my team? And so I've got to be communicating with you. What are you being offered? What can we do? And
20 seconds, so
yeah. Okay. And then finally, conference realignment is still with us with what's going on in the Pac-12. And finally, the college football playoff. Does it go to 16? And does
Thank you,
Patini-
Sully, for a great season. We'll be back in August on Sully's college football page on WXCO.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.